Hey everyone, welcome to Inverted World. This is troubling, disappointing, yet ironic because the groups and institutions that claim to be on the side of diversity and inclusion, yet again, are hypocritical and doing the exact same thing that they accuse their enemies of doing. And as we are in this time of war between Israel and Palestine, it's becoming easier to identify who is on the pro-Palestinian side. Where does the pro-Palestinian side get their support here in America? These past few days have been a whirlwind of drama for Ivy League schools as pressures have been mounting for the presidents of these schools to resign following backlash on their answers to questions about anti-Semitism, especially after how they answered questions about whether or not calling for the genocide of Jews would violate the school's code of conduct. At
MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context.
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment. It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill.
Don't change the subject, just answer the f***ing question.
UPenn President Liz McGill resigned after the backlash was just too much, probably because they won't be getting the donation that they're so heavily dependent on from hedge funds. Ross Stevens, the hedge fund manager of Stone Ridge Holdings Group, threatened to pull a $100 million donation from UPenn. At the end of the day, it's just about money, I guess.
Show me the money!
Following McGill's resignation, Elise Stefanik made this viral post on X, "One down, two to go. This is only the very beginning of addressing the pervasive rot of anti-Semitism that has destroyed the most prestigious higher education institutions in America. This forced resignation of the president of UPenn is the bare minimum of what is required. Harvard and MIT, do the right thing. The world is watching." Before I continue, if you're new to this channel, please be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell for more videos. I highly appreciate the support. Now, it was just announced that Harvard President Claudine Gay will maintain her position as president. I guess it wasn't too hard for them to resist the backlash. But wow, it was really like pulling teeth during this hearing.
At Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
And of course, because she couldn't back out of that, Claudine Gay said she was sorry.
I'm sorry. It's too late.
So she answers the question in very vague terms and then apologizes for how she conducted herself and then magically gets to maintain her position. She also refused to answer this question about whether Harvard received $1.5 billion in funding from foreign entities and governments for its Middle East Studies Department.
Harvard receives funding from foreign entities and governments which support its Middle Eastern Studies Department, correct?
We have alumni all over the world, and we benefit
from their
philanthropy.
Yes? The answer is correct?
We receive support from our alumni from all over the world, from individuals.
And what amount of support is that reported to the federal government?
I'd have to actually look at our filings.
You don't know? As the president of the university, you don't know?
Not that particular number.
It's
No, I don't.
$1.5 billion over the past 3 years. Are you aware of that?
I don't know if that is the correct number, but that's the number you've shared.
Interesting. What are they hiding here? These prestigious institutions of higher learning are obsessed with fighting opposing political beliefs, yet do nothing about protecting Jewish students from anti-Semitic attacks. Many students and faculty of these colleges, and also non-Ivy League schools, are constantly pushing this agenda that right-wingers are neo-Nazis or fascists or white supremacists. Yet the schools do nothing about the students acting like Nazis and calling for the genocide of Jews. The hypocrisy could not be more obvious, and it is just cowardly that these leaders of universities do not stand up for their Jewish students. If you're so opposed to answering these questions, then what does that say about you as a leader? What you're saying is that these anti-Semitic students should not be condemned. You might as well say that it should flourish on campus, but depending on the context, of course. And because of this lack of leadership, the students themselves have very little courage to express how they truly feel, with the exception of a few. Take a look at this clip from Fox News contributor Sarah Carter when she interviewed students at Harvard.
Do you feel, though, that her inability to respond to whether or not genocide, the calls for genocide, violated the ethical code of standard here at Harvard, exposed that maybe she was wavering on a subject that should have been very simple to answer?
I do not know enough about that to comment, to be able to comment fully, to be honest.
Personally, I think that it's important for university leadership to be held accountable, but I also think that she has tried really hard to fix the mistakes she made. And I do believe that she did make mistakes as an administrator, but I think it's wrong. It'd be wrong to just get rid of her just because she made these mistakes, and it's important for her to show that she's ready to learn and grow from the mistakes that she made.
I can't I feel indifferent. I mean, the corporation Harvard supports genocide, so I mean, whoever's the face of the institution doesn't really matter.
So you felt like her testimony wasn't so much offensive, it's just
it's bad. It was bad. The testimony was awful.
All of this only further indicates how much the institutions are failing us. They spend so much time villainizing and excluding people with conservative beliefs. They indoctrinate their students with woke ideology, yet they do nothing when the real issues of discrimination and hate come knocking at their door. It's just absolutely pathetic. It's cowardly. And maybe after all this drama, parents will stop putting these universities on a pedestal like many people have been doing for generations. They are run by sick and twisted people hell-bent on creating more hatred and division among their students. I would love to hear your thoughts about this situation. Should these leaders resign? What should be done about the code of conduct? Should funding be taken out of the schools? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching Inverted World.